Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast, a space for nurturing the ecosystem of business, body, and living. What would it be like if you gave your body a leadership role in your business and chose greater happiness every day? These are the conditions that create a healthy biome and a thriving business. I'm your host, Heather Nichols, and I'm so happy you're here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast. This week, we're going to Mexico. We're in Mexico. We're going a little raw and rough around the edges this week because, there's a whole lot going on here. I'm at my house in Mexico. We haven't had water for a couple days, or no, actually, it's been a day, but feels like, when you don't have water for a whole day, it feels like more than a day. So we're just kind of like roughing it around here. I do have clothes on. You just can't see them, but hey, you can use your imagination. And it's getting close to sunset time here, and another beautiful day in paradise for sure, even without the water. It's so spectacular. So just thought I would have a little chat with you guys on my patio. And some stuff that's up for me lately is like, there's this, I guess it was like a week ago, we did this class with Dr. Dane Hare, who's one of the creators of Access Consciousness, called the Great Reset, the real Great Reset. And it was one of those moments in energetic sort of time and like consciousness history. That was a real turning point because a lot of what we did in this class was play with like destructuring, like taking apart energetic structures that hold reality in place, really. And the work of Access Consciousness is very energetic. And if you're not familiar with it, you may not be used to something quite so energetic. But it's amazing because we undo a lot of energies and a lot of energetic structures, and the world then changes. And that's what it's been like for me. Like this week, I've been like videos, podcasts, and it's kind of like, well, what do I talk about? What are videos and podcasts again? What do people want to know? Which I always, by the way, love hearing what you all are asking about and curious about. So it's kind of like, in these moments where we take a lot of stuff apart, there's an energetic change, a really big energetic change, and things have been destructured enough to, really notice. I mean, it's like kind of like, now what? Which is actually one of my favorite questions. Now what? And when you ask that question from, like the judgment of it, like, okay, well, I have no idea what to do now, what to create now, what to talk about now what? When you ask it from the judgment of that, rather than like, oh, this is so cool. Everything that I used to know is kind of like changed and gotten disassembled. And now what are the possibilities? Now what are the infinite possibilities? Now what's available to be created? What's available to be chosen? So it can have a different energy depending on what you bring to that question. And so I like to look at this as a very, very much of a now what moment of, okay, the past as we know it is not really there anymore. And whenever I don't really know, like I have a sense of sort of like blank, or I don't really know what to talk about or where to go, it's like I'm aware that there's a whole new universe available. And with destructuring as a conversation, it's a big one. It's a really big one because we put in place, we structure things energetically, and we structure things physically as well. Like we structure our bodies physically and energetically. And when you can take apart the structures of your body that allow for a totally different way of moving and being and kind of like organizing your body in space. It's pretty incredible what shows up. And I don't think that'll be like the main topic of this podcast, but there will be more on that coming for sure. But when you destructure your world by changing so many things energetically, and in access consciousness we do a lot of verbal energetic clearings. So when you run a lot of clearings and you choose a lot of new energies, and it's like, okay, I've just like destructured a lot of things. There's a whole new creative playground to play upon. And but we can't be in judgment of that said playground. We can't be like, well, I have no idea what to do now because it's all just gone. It's like you got to be, again, like I said, in the curiosity. And that is one of the spaces that can be one of the most uncomfortable spaces for people. And also, I would say, like, one of the most fruitful, juicy, maybe even lucrative spaces is just that moment of like, okay, cool, everything's changed, and now there's a totally different possibility here. And this is like, if you look at the world of business, there's like this is where it's great to have like to dive into like the innovative possibilities that you can jump into next with your business. And even like, and how do you innovate? Like, how do you even, what do you even do in this kind of space? Well, this is where I love asking questions. And questions are question, choice, possibility, and contribution. Those are the elements of creation and access consciousness. That's one of the main kind of like energetic tools and energetic conversations we use for creation. And with when you ask a question, you open doors. You open so many doors to so many different possibilities and stuff that we've never thought of before, we've never considered, we've never perceived as a possibility before. And when you do that, it's like the universe is like, oh, cool. You'd like something new, something different. You'd like to explore possibilities. Let's do it, And the universe will give you, it will like put things in your path and put opportunities in front of you and possibilities in front of you and allow you to explore. And like, you'll start connecting with new people and just having new conversations and all these kind of things that allows us to like really see the new universe that we've opened up for ourselves. But if you're not looking from eyes of curiosity, you're looking from the problem of like everything just feels like it went away, then you're not going to have the awareness of the possibility. You're just going to have the point of view about the problem. And so what types of questions can you ask when things have been taken apart and you're not really sure where to go next? Well, one of the things I would advise, and I think it's always good to kind of check in on this as we go with creation, is spending a moment to get clear again about your priorities and your desires. Because when we have big change and things like kind of are like disassembled, that's where like there's gonna be time, there's gonna be like a lot of things that you used to desire or thought you desired, they might have gone away. Have you ever had that where you like, you were like, cruising along, maybe it was a relationship or, a job or something like that. Whereas like you desire it, and then all of a sudden you have this moment, awareness, or something has shifted for you and you're like, wow, I've kind of outgrown that. Like I've outgrown that job, I've outgrown that relationship, whatever it may be. And those are the moments where we have to get vulnerable with ourselves and have those conversations that are not necessarily always the easiest ones to have. You know, do I still desire this? And is this still relevant to me? And maybe you might even find out that you never desired it. Like sometimes that's what happens as well, where we're like, wow, I thought I desired that, but I actually didn't. And so we need to, so it requires just a real level of vulnerability and presence to actually have those conversations with yourself. Because if you find out that there's something that you thought you desired that now you don't, um, you're going to need to make some changes. If you want to continue creating what you desire and what's true for you, which is the easiest way to create in your life, the most elegant way to create, if you want to continue in that vein, then you like if you're not congruent with what it is, if you don't actually desire what you think you desire, what you say you desire, it won't show up. And so, and I've probably talked about this before, that like when you have that clarity, then like it's like the whole biome is like ready, to like move and unfold and be fed and be informed by what it is that like the new desires that you have. It's like planting a new crop in the garden. I love my garden analogies. um, and so taking a moment and going, all right, so everything changed, everything's different. What's true for me now? What do I desire now? What's the future that I'm aware of now that I would like to create? And you can even kind of go through your life and be like, Dane here and Simone Milasas, both facilitators of access consciousness, they've been talking about this lately, these 6 areas, right? Of, let me see if I can remember. It's business, money, relationships, body, geography, and what's the 6th one? Sex. Those 6 areas of life, to actually like sit down, take stock, maybe sit down and do some journaling. Okay, so what do I desire as my business and my business life? What do I desire now, today, and for the future? What do I desire with my financial world, now and for the future? With your sex life, with your relationship world, with your body, and with like where you would like to live, where you would like to be in the world and that kind of thing. And really valuable to update those every so often, especially after a big change. And then it's like, then you've got some new space to work with. You've got some new asks to work with, some new choices to work with, some new futures to work with. And you can start to move in that direction with your creative tools, of which there's always more. I mean, this whole, to me, a big part of the entrepreneurial biome is the creative piece, the creative aspect of truly creating our living, the creation of living. That used to be my podcast name. Still, I do some classes on that, and there's still a lot to be played with there. And to me, it's the creation of living is where we include all of these pieces, and we have this like beautiful, like hedonistic play with the earth and the physical reality and our bodies, and everything gets to like nurture that. Everything gets to nurture what we're creating, and the different aspects of our life nurture the different aspects of our lives. And so everything gets greater as everything gets greater, as we talk about a lot in the biome conversations. And so, and then one of the things I want to mention, because this is even happening for me right now as I'm talking, is when things are really different and you've done a lot of destructuring and you're like kind of looking toward a new future and having some new asks and some new choices, it's going to feel weird. It's going to feel really strange. I have some of that going on as I speak. It's like, wow, like, what am I saying? Like, are people going to get this? Is like, I'm starting to perceive as I talk, the undefined, like how undefined I have become. And it's like, from some classes that I've done, I've actually been taking and facilitating a lot of classes over the past, well, this month. It's been kind of back to back with classes. And I've been in Mexico. I've been here on spring break with my kids and 12 of their friends. And we've been in this, like, I feel like I've been in this kind of like little time warp here. So it's definitely been a very different, just a really different time for me. And I'm like, wow, like, what's going on out there in the world, and like, am I making sense? Is this relatable? Is this applicable? Is this relevant to people? Because as we destructure ourselves and we destructure our lives, like we take off all these like energetic structures that we hold in place that are like how we define ourselves. Like, my name is Heather Nichols, and I'm you know, a coach and a speaker and a facilitator and a podcaster and a body person and a business person. It's like, okay, well, okay, but none of that's really true. I mean, it's like, could you say that's true? Yes, you could. And is that what I actually am? Not really. Like, I'm just this creature here on the earth right now, wondering how I can contribute. Um, and and so we undefine ourselves by this destructuring, and even like our bodies and all these different pieces. And then you show up in a relationship or, in some way that's familiar to you, it's going to feel really different. And I've recorded many of these podcasts. I've recorded like hundreds and hundreds of videos and podcasts and Facebook lives and all that stuff over the years. I've had so many radio shows and all the things. So this is definitely not my first rodeo. And it's like, wow, this is totally different. Like, speaking from this space into the space that is available in the world is totally different. And this is where, like, we have to trust ourselves, and really get a sense of like not judge ourselves, be an allowance of ourselves, trust ourselves, and be like, well, the world I want to create is a world where we can show up just as we are right here, right now, and see what happens, see what shows up. And I think one of the things also that I'm aware of is, for me, I just recently like had this huge kind of like let go of a lot of structures that I was holding in place in regards to various relationships in my life. And like, I really took some stuff apart. I was like, I pulled some, like, I always call it like pulling the kingpin, like I pulled some kingpins in my own life that I had been looking at for a while, and stuff I didn't really know kind of like how to get to, that was really felt like it was limiting me. And I could see how it was limiting my business and my money flows and like who I was willing to show up as in the world, and how I was willing to show up. And like, really just like, because I had to keep feeding these energies of these structures of these relationships, that it wasn't me, like, there was nothing there that was relevant to me. It was like, I need to use all of my energy to feed these structures of relationships with people that actually don't contribute to me. Um, and that don't really have my back, and that aren't really interested in me. They're interested in taking from me. And I had to, like, I really pulled some plugs in my own life energetically. And it's amazing what happens when we do that, because I did that energetically. And now it's like it's like I could see the fallout in how I'm showing up in the world and on this podcast and all of that. It's like, it's really different. And it's like, and this has only just been a few days, actually. So I'm sort of facilitating myself today here. um, but it's really wild, because it's like, wow, I was really defining myself by, like, not just with those particular people, but I was defining myself with everybody by those energies. And they're gone now. Like, they are gone. And I'm realizing that as I speak. I'm like, wow, I pulled the kingpin and I threw it in the ocean. It's gone. Um, And so it's like, wow, well, who am I now? Now what? Now who? Who am I now? What am I now? What can I contribute now? How can I be now? How can I show up now in a totally different way that's so much more of me? And when we show up as more of who we are, it is so cool because, and it will also feel very strange and undefined. And we don't really like, it's like you don't, I guess one of the things for me is like, I'm realizing how much I used to censor myself or like kind of gauge how what would be delivered would be received on the other end. And now it's like, that's not there anymore. It's way more like, it's way more like I just don't, I just, the sensors are gone, the gauges, the sensors are just gone. And so, and so it's just like unabashed, like just free flowing me. There you go. Um, and I mean, you could even say I'm naked because, hey, I could be, you never know. But it does have that feeling to me. And the cool thing is that I know, like, however weird this may be, I know that this is like, oh, this is what I've been asking for, and that's the thing is when you've got, this is a great question to ask is like when you have those things that, um, when you have those moments of like the blank or the structures have gone away or, you don't really know what's happening, there's total undefining, total destructuring. And you have those moments. It's like, one of the great questions that you can ask in that moment is this the change I've been asking for? And because when we ask for change, it will show up. It will not show up how you think it's going to at all, but it will show up. And that's really cool. It like you don't have to force it into existence. Like the universe has your back, and the universe will be like, hey, here's something different. And you're like, whoa, that's weird, But if you stay in the curiosity of like, is this the change that I've been asking for? And I ask that and I'm like, oh yeah, I get a big resounding yes, 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 yes. Okay, cool. So there's a new space to explore here. And what's true for me? What do I desire? What would I like to create? What contribution can I be in the world? How can I show up as the gift that I am? That's something that's really hugely interesting to me. And what's possible now? What's available now? And with all these questions, like I'm just like inviting new energies into my life, into my world. And the like what's available with creation will just like it will move from there. And this is where we just have to stay present. And the thing about taking structures apart and destructuring is that when we do, like, structures are put in place to eliminate the necessity of presence, basically, to eliminate our necessity to be present. And when that occurs, it is, it's like, I mean, well, let me back up and just say, like, we put all these things in place where we're like, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to show up like this and I'm going to adjust me like this. And so this is a little bit of a description of like energetic structures, is like showing up with a certain person in a certain way, changing yourself in a certain way, censoring yourself, gauging how you're going to be received. Like we have all these like energetic gymnastics that we do all the time. We don't even realize it. And so we show up like that. And when we destructure things, we take apart those structures, like we clear stuff, we change stuff energetically with the tools of access consciousness. It's like those structures are gone, and then you're like, you just sort of feel like this raw, energy. And one of the things, actually, I will mention the body a little bit here because it makes me really think about this bowstring movement that I do. And I've interviewed Desi Springer, the creator of it, and she's just amazing. And so you can look back in the podcast on a previous episode where she and I had beautiful chat. But bowstring is actually very much about destructuring the body, like, and not, it's a reorganization of the structure, but it is destructuring because it takes the solidity out of the structure of the body and it puts like fluidity and malleability, and it leaves that in its wake, basically. So our bodies become way more fluid, way more malleable, way more spacious, way less fixed as a structure. And one of the things that I've noticed for my body, and I've talked to a lot of people that take my bowspring classes or whatever, is there's this real vulnerability when that occurs of like, we've just taken apart, like you've just like cracked open the structure, the hard shell of the structure. And here I am, vulnerable, expansive, open. I don't have the physical armoring of my body anymore, or at least in that particular way. And because all these structures that we've put in place to keep us from being vulnerable and exposed to the world, they go away, and there you are, but that's the good news. There you are, and when you show up as more of you, other people get to receive that. You get to receive that. There's just so much that is, there's such a gift in that. But you can't busy yourself or worry yourself about how people are going to receive you, because who knows, like this is where you just have to really have the courage to show up without all that stuff there. And because it's energetic, a lot of times we don't even know what it is that went away, and we don't know what's happening right now. But that's the cool part of it, is then it becomes, because you've taken apart the structures that have like sort of been that have kept the necessity of your presence at bay. And now you have to be present, because otherwise, like, there's nothing there to create from, to move with. Like, you have to be present. And it's a different muscle. It's a very different energetic muscle. It's a different physical experience. And so probably next time I'll dive more into the body structures and more about that. But it's a really different, it's a totally different universe. And how cool is that? It's like when we do that, we give ourselves the gift of us. But you can't define you. You don't know who you are. You can't, if you define you, you confine you. If you show up as present and spacious and available to interact with all kinds of different energies, you're going to have so many cool, there just will be so many fun, cool things that are available to you, energies to play with, creations to engage with, new people, like new ideas, like new possibilities all over the place. And then you got to bring you present without the structures. And there's a vulnerability to that and a beauty to it. And this is, I would say, where we really begin to give ourselves to make available to ourselves the true space of creation from which we would love to create, and from which we actually can have so much potency with creation. It's pretty amazing. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for taking this little energetic journey with me here on my patio in Mexico. It's my last day here for the season. I leave tomorrow, and I will be back in the fall. So I'm a little going to miss this place. I'm going to go have a little sunset dinner. But I hope this was a contribution to you. And I am going to be doing, next week. I'm like, when is this going live? It's going live tomorrow, because I was kind of last minute on this recording. So next week, if you're listening to this in sort of, it's it'll be March 27th when this goes live, 2024. I believe it's April 2nd and 4th. I'm doing a 2-part call on creating from blank, which to me is like such great timing, because there's a lot of that happening right now. It's translated into a lot of languages. And I think it's like $125 or something. It's pretty cheap. Love to have you come and play. If you hear this after the fact and you want it, it'll be in the shop, I'm sure. But I think it's going to be a pretty cool conversation about what else is possible with this whole blank space that is actually the space of like a deep, beautiful fertility of possibility. So hope to see you there. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great week. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me for the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. For more resources, check out my website at heathernichols.com and my social media channels as well. Have a beautiful day, and remember that your business thrives when you do.